listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome into the GM Shuffle. Geoff, Schwartz, Marty, Hurney. Marty, 30 years in NFL front offices. Geoff Schwartz here, 8 years National Football League. As usual, the GM Shuffle was presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And Marty, we had an eventful Week 16 in the National Football League, as we normally do. Our Monday episode, which is now, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to go down both conferences. Who are the playoff teams? What are they playing for? How the results for the past weekend matter for the postseason. And then we'll turn our attention to our Tuesday episode this week. Just to stay tuned on that. We'll preview Christmas games and some games following, Week 17 and what matters and what doesn't matter. But in this episode, Marty, as I mentioned, we're going to hit on the playoffs. And after yesterday, the AFC has 6 teams that have double-digit wins. We still have the same teams at the top, even though they are tied at the moment at 12-3. And let's start sort of right there, Marty, at the very top of the AFC. We'll start with the game in the afternoon window yesterday between Jacksonville and Denver. Denver right now sits up top. The AFC at 12-3, only tiebreaker over New England. And then Jacksonville with a win at Denver, very impressive win, 34-20. They've won 6 games in a row. They are still atop the AFC South, but also the 3 seed at the moment, 1 game back of both the Broncos and the Patriots. I'll tell you what, man, I didn't see this one coming, not to this extent. I question whether Jacksonville, who had played a pretty poor schedule for the last month, could go in to Denver and win a game like this with Denver as well as they have been playing. And they outclassed Denver. They outplayed Denver. They start to finish were the better team in Denver. And I was super impressed, man, Marty, with what Liam Cohen has done to this team. Trevor Lawrence, maybe we have to sort of reevaluate where he is as a quarterback right now. 23 of 36, 279, 3 passing touchdowns. The running game was okay, not great, but Trevor Lawrence carried this team yesterday. Marty, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, we've talked about it, Geoff, and I think we're seeing it so much this year about how important a coordinator or a head coach that is the offensive coach is to his quarterback. And look what Liam Cohen has done with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been trying to get my hands around why I just don't get excited about Trevor Lawrence. And I think in the past it's because, when you look at Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff, okay, they are not the most quick-footed people inside the pocket. Trevor Lawrence has got quicker feet than Goff, but it's also the fact that Trevor Lawrence has never really been a quick twitch guy. Goff and Lawrence, good quarterback coaches will tell you they're always looking for that guy who has that quick twitch in his delivery. Lawrence and Goff don't, but what Goff has always had is he's been an elite decision maker, gets rid of the ball quickly, sees it and puts it at the right spot. Trevor Lawrence with Liam Cohen is starting to do that, and he's getting better and better at it. He's making quicker decisions. He's making more correct decisions. He's going through his reads. He just has a comfort level with this offense. I saw they talked about Liam Cohen made a switch about what leg was in front, the left or the right when he was in shotgun, and he changed that to put the left in front, and that has hurried up his release as well. But I just think that, young coaches, young quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence is still a young quarterback in my mind. But Liam Cohen has just made a significant impact on this organization. And I don't know, Geoff, after yesterday, I mean, do you have to say they have a chance to be able to win the AFC?
I think you have to, dude. It's such a fascinating discussion because holistically in the AFC right now, Denver, New England are the only 2 teams that have clinched a spot so far. But we pretty much know, I think, the 7 or 8 teams that are going to be in the postseason. Denver, New England, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Bills, Texans. Those are 7 right now. If you gave me $100 and said, hey, put some money on a team to win the AFC, I mean, I might hand you the $100 back and say, keep your money. Um, it just feels like a complete shot in the dark. I mean, even when we talk about matchups in the postseason, let's just say that it ended today as it is, okay? So wild card weekend, Houston goes to New England, Buffalo goes to Jacksonville, and the Chargers go to Pittsburgh. Those point spreads are probably within 3 points either direction, right? Like the Texans and Patriots, that's probably 1 point for New England, maybe 2 in that game, right? Buffalo goes to Jacksonville, probably close to a pick 'em, I would imagine, right? And then the Chargers go to Pittsburgh, again, probably close to a pick 'em, maybe Chargers favored by 1 or 2. Like those are 50-50 games. They're all 50-50 games. And that's why I think it's a difficult in the AFC, because for so many years we just said Mahomes is going to win the championship, right? Or win the AFC. Well, that's out. They're not in the playoffs. We'll talk about Baltimore in a second when we talk about New England. They're essentially done in my mind right now. The Bills have a ton of flaws. I'm not sure they're the team. So you're relying on Bo Nix, who we haven't seen do this before. Drake May haven't seen do this before. Trevor Lawrence, we haven't seen do this before. The one wild card is Pittsburgh, and I don't know if I buy them, but Herbert hasn't done it before. Stroud hasn't done it. Like all these quarterbacks have not done it before. And the NFL has showed us throughout history, unless you are a special player to get to the Super Bowl, you typically have to like lose 1 year before you get in, right? That's typically what it's been over the years. For a lot of these quarterbacks, you know, they have lost previously, correct, but it just, there's not a lot of history that they're going to get there. So that's where I'm at with the AFC. And Denver, Jacksonville are 1-3. Number 2 right now is New England Patriots. They beat Baltimore last night, down 24-13 in this game. They win 28-24. It's a great job for them to come back and win this game. But man, Baltimore, Derrick Henry doesn't get a touch for the last 12 minutes of this game after rushing for 128 yards and 18 carries. He had 0 touches with 12:50 after he scored a touchdown in a game where you lose Lamar Jackson. Baltimore for years now has blown these games week in, week out, man. When it was 24-13, they had a 90.5% chance to win this game. They lost the game. But New England, Marty, gets it done again. Drake May, 31-44 for 380 and 2 touchdowns. The takeaway, obviously, is New England is the 2 seed right now and has a firm grip on the AFC East.
Yeah, I thought they showed their youth a little bit last night, Geoff. And listen, if you're giving me that $100 bet scenario, if you give me 2 of them, I think I just put it on the Bills and the Chargers, because we say it's a quarterback tournament, and those really are the 2 most accomplished quarterbacks, I think, in the AFC bracket. But the Broncos, I mean, you have kind of said it all along this year, and yesterday we sort of saw it. Bo Nix, more inconsistency. Do you think Bo Nix is ready to, or Drake May for that matter, ready to win a conference championship game? I don't know, Geoff. I think yesterday, I think they both showed a little bit of their flaws in the games yesterday, and it'll be really interesting. But I think that the AFC's got some wildcard teams that can really make some noise.
Look, this is a very simple way to look at it. And I know that this bothers people sometimes, but I think it's really, when Roger Goodell is walking to hand the Lombardi Trophy to an owner, to a coach, to a quarterback, is that going to be Drake May holding the trophy at the end of the season? Right? I've never done it before. I would imagine it's like this, right? You hold the okay, right? I know. My brother has. I should ask him. One thing to note, that trophy is very light. It's like 7 pounds. It's 7 pounds. Sorry, my dog's super into this as well. But it's very light, Marty. But nonetheless, can you see Drake May holding the trophy at the end of the season?
I really can't, Geoff. Listen, I love the Patriots. I love what Mike Vrabel has done. And I think they're a very balanced team. I just don't know. I think it's too early. And you say that, but then I had an owner tell me this once a few years ago, and I looked it up, and it's true, is it did surprise me that 85% of the teams that win the conference championship and get to the Super Bowl, all the way back to Super Bowl I, 85% of the teams have had a coach that has been with them 5 or less years. So you look at all the young coaches in the playoff hunt right now, and you look and say, which is the most intriguing? And, we can talk about the reasons that number is so high and why new coaches have an impact, but that's what we're seeing this year. And I think the Patriots and the Broncos are as dangerous at home as you can be. Yep. But I just don't know whether they've reached that point where they're ready to win those games and get to the Super Bowl. We'll see.
But someone has to do it, though. Like, that's my point about the playoffs this year. Like, someone has to do in the AFC. Someone that out of nowhere that we don't expect is going to win, unless it's Buffalo, who we do, with Josh.
What about the Chargers? What about the Chargers?
We'll get to the Chargers. Right? I want to talk about the Chargers. We'll get to them. But very quickly, because we got to wrap this up. We got a minute here, Marty. Okay. Feels like John Harbaugh is about done in Baltimore, right? Like, how do you run this back next year in Baltimore with the same results, the same failure in the games? John Harbaugh will be hired tomorrow by Cleveland. But it's no it's question. Not. It's done in Baltimore. Do you agree? It's done in Baltimore.
I agree with you, but I don't see them making the change. I don't see Baltimore parting ways with John Harbaugh. I don't. I just think that organization is too much on continuity. I don't see that happening. But that's the thing. I mean, when you go a certain period of time, you do hit a space where are the players listening to you as much?
So I guess the question too is this is the Andy Reid thing too. Andy Reid, they announced Mike Garafolo, NFL Network said he's not retiring, which I think we all expected. But if you fire Harbaugh, this is not a class of coaches, I think, that inspires you quite like Ben Johnson and maybe Mike Vrabel did last season, right? So that's part of it as well. If you fire a coach, you always have to hire someone better. And the question mark is right now, who is better? Let's talk the Chargers, the Steelers. We'll do that next. James Show presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back on the GM Shuffle. We will have a preview of Monday Night Football, I should say, later in the show. Niners-Colts, big game for really the Niners, who still control their own destiny to be the 1 seed in the NFC. We'll preview the NFC standings in a couple minutes as well. We'll have our best bets at the end of the show. But, Marty, let's get back to the AFC standings. So we talked about it. Denver 1, New England 2, Jacksonville 3. Mike Tomlin did it again. 19 straight seasons. He has won at least 9 games, or I take that back, at least been 500 or better. I think there was a year he was, maybe last year, 8-1. Doesn't matter. He has now been over 500. They keep doing this. They beat the Lions yesterday, who are completely a different team without Ben Johnson, some of the injuries on defense. But I don't know how they're doing it. Offensively, they're piecing it together. They're making enough plays. Obviously, Jaylen Warren yesterday, the 2 long runs I thought were fantastic. The way to finish those runs, the catch by Gainwell was an incredible catch. But the end of that game, I want to talk about very quickly. For those who missed it, the Lions got called for 2 straight penalties on offense. I thought both were legitimate, even though one of them was ticky-tacky-ish. So the Lions got the ball about the 1, I believe. They ran a rollout, a quarterback sprint to the right, Q8, sprint right, whatever you want to call it. And they ran the old outside receiver runs in like a drag or a slant. The number 2 runs a quick out, and they pick the defender, right, in man coverage. Because typically on the goal line, you get 1 or 2 coverages. You get a quarters look, or you get man coverage and quarters. Number 1 just sits. You throw it to him in man coverage. You try to pick that guy and get to the sideline. Now, it was Tasala, right? Was the wide receiver who picked St. Brown's guy. He was shoved into that guy by the Steelers defender. The thing for the referees is that that's a play that 99 times out of 100, the offensive player is initiating contact with the defensive player, and it is a pick play, right? So in that instance, the referee just sees that, does stuff. Like, I don't fault the referee, Marty, for that call. I just don't. The wide receiver's got to do a better job of either pivoting to run a route, which you can do. If you stop and pivot to run a route and your hands come to the quarterback and you make contact, that's legal, or within 1 yard, it's legal. So they bring them back. They have to go for it on fourth down eventually, and St. Brown pushes off on Ramsey. So they call OPI. The problem I have with that play, Marty, at the very end was that I'm getting really tired of the officials letting these plays run for no reason whatsoever. So St. Brown catches the ball at the 1. He gets hit by Ramsey, and I think it was Porter. He's short of the goal line. They drive him back to the 7-yard line. He pitches the ball to Jared Goff, who scores a touchdown. The ruling, obviously, of OPI brings that back. The game is over. Marty, St. Brown's forward progress was stopped. Why is he allowed to pitch the ball to Jared Goff? The officiating this year in those situations, I think, has been the worst I've seen it in years. And the NFL has got to fix this forward progress rule. You can't. On tush pushes, the forward progress is down, and sometimes they let it go. We have to be more uniform when we call forward progress. He was driven back 7 yards, Marty, and they let the play stand. That, to me, is horrendous officiating.
And if there wasn't an offensive interference on the play, Detroit would have won the game, correct?
Yes.
But and that's my problem. Listen, this is a discussion for another day, right? But where officiating's going, where the league office comes in, I'm telling you, Geoff, it's just getting very chaotic, from the ladder on the Thursday night game. We have calls taking so much time right now. And honestly, I think the route that it's got to go, if you're going to do it this way and get the third parties involved so much, is do what the ACC did this year and really put up the command center and show the communications with the officials, because I really do feel like there's starting to be a trust issue here with all these calls that are either being changed. And when you wait 30 seconds to a minute, in the Thursday night game, nobody really knew that the ball was thrown behind. So I think that's an issue, and that's a conversation for another day. But I just, good for the Steelers. They deserve a lot of credit. I just don't think they have enough firepower. I was surprised they scored 29 points against the Lions, but the Lions are struggling because of injuries on defense. Ran the ball great. Rodgers is playing his best right now. I just think they have a hard time going anywhere in the playoffs.
Since we're here, Marty, on Thursday night, okay, here's my take on the 2-point conversion, okay? The way I view a replay review might be different than the way they actually apply it. Where I thought replay review, and I think replay review is here to fix egregious mistakes, Marty. Like that's what I think it's for. Okay. It's not to fix everything. I know people don't like when I say that because they think review is meant to fix everything. To me, it's not. It's not meant to fix everything. It's just supposed to fix egregious mistakes made on the field. That play to me is not a play that should be fixed. Sam Darnold and Seattle called a bad play. The Rams made the play, right? Jared Verse made the play. He knocked the ball down. The play was blown dead, and the referee signaled incomplete pass. And Zach Charbonnet just sort of casually walks over and touches the ball and picks it up, and they ruled out a 2-point conversion attempt that stands for Seattle. That's what replay review is for. It feels gross, Marty. Like it might have been technically the right call. I get that. I saw a tweet that said basically, like, imagine you're in the stadium, you've had a couple of beers, and the worst play you've ever seen by your home team was given 2 points. Like, that to me is not what replay is for, Marty. It's not what it's for. And it might have cost the Rams an opportunity to be the one team. We'll talk about the NFC in a few minutes, but I just did not like the way that went down, even though it might have been the right call.
And Geoff, the Rams were almost getting ready to line up to kick off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the time that it takes, and it's just where are these things coming from? I really think the league needs to look at. Listen, I get it. I want to get it right. I get it, but it's a game played by human beings. We're not going to get everything right all the time, and if you correct some plays, but then don't correct others, I think people start getting upset about that. So I hope they take a look at this. I know what they're trying to do, but if they want to go to full transparency, do the ACC thing where you go into the command center and you listen to how the call is being decided, because I think that's the only way you're gonna really get a lot of trust back on this thing.
Totally agree. If you like what you're hearing here on the GM Shuffle, there's even more VSiN Pro, betting splits, power ratings, sharp analysis, offers $99 on your first month. Go to VSiN.com. Subscribe and check out all the subscription options. Marty, you mentioned the Chargers of Los Angeles. They're the 5 seed right now. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. Do you remember, though, Dallas Cowboys defense is much better now? Just want to make that point clear. It's everyone kept telling me.
Quinnen Williams didn't play, though. Quinnen Williams.
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't matter. The Chargers won 4 in a row, including beating the Eagles, the Chiefs, and now the Cowboys. I'll tell you what, man. Herbert, dude, is a baller. It's a baller. Imagine when he gets a full offensive line back. The Chargers end with with Texans and Broncos. They could end up with the AFC West crown here if Denver falters. I don't think Denver's going to falter, but I think the Chargers win out. They will end up being, if they win out, they'll end up being the AFC West champion because they're one back of the Broncos, having already beaten the Broncos. If they beat them again, they will be the 1 seed. They play Houston, though, this week. We'll preview those games in our Tuesday episode. But a good win, man. Their defense is playing much better down the stretch here. Offensively, they're winning the line of scrimmage. Herbert's making some great throws. Quentin Johnson with 104 yards and a touchdown this game. They handled business. They absolutely did what they had to do to shut out the Cowboys in the second half. If their offensive line was any healthier, Marty, I think I'd be all in on the Chargers. But their offensive line, I don't think you could make a Super Bowl with your offensive line being what the Chargers' offensive line is.
I would normally agree with you, but I think they've had so much time to adjust, Geoff, and they've had so many changes there with injuries. I think they've kind of adapted to it, and they're really playing well. And, if you look at it, the head coach, good enough. He's been there to a Super Bowl. The quarterback is certainly good enough. I think that Greg Roman's doing a great job of mixing up his calls, and they have a balanced attack. Other than being on the road, I mean, why can't they win this thing? I think there's a lot up for grabs. So I just think that they're really seeming to play. They've won 4 straight now. They're playing. Yeah, they're starting to get hot at the right time.
The nice thing about next week is there's some big games that we'll know a lot more about some teams, and one of them is the Chargers-Texans. We'll know a lot more about the Chargers. The Texans right now sitting at the 7th seed. They're 10-5. They beat up on they didn't beat up on the Raiders. They won a close game against the Raiders, but again, I understand that. I mean, that game didn't mean anything for them, and they still have to they go to Los Angeles this week. Sitting at the 6th seed is the Buffalo Bills, Marty. They beat the Browns by 3. I mean, their defense is not good. I can't, Marty, with Buffalo. I mean, the Cleveland Browns have not been good on offense, and they scored 20 points. Now, right? I mean, that's some short fields. I get it, but I can't do it with Buffalo. Am I being too harsh on the defense?
No, you're not. And their rushing defense has been a issue all year long. There's just something when you watch teams, and listen, do the Bills have the talent to win the whole thing? Of course they do, but it just seems like there's something that they're haven't been quite in sync all year. Obviously, Josh Allen's got to put on the cape and make big plays for them to win games, and James Cook's got to be a big factor in every game. But the defense is just very inconsistent, and if you can't stop the run against some of these teams in the playoffs, I think you're going to have a hard time.
I think so too. It's going to be tough for Buffalo dudes. And look, I think Allen is inconsistent, but it's not. Sometimes it's funny. Look, here's who he threw to yesterday. You ready? Khalil Shakir, Jackson Hawes, Shavers, Ray Davis, and Cook, who are running backs. Knox, Palmer, Cooks had 1 target, and Kincaid had 1 target. I mean, it's not a great group. But again, they're still in this. They got the Eagles and the Jets. Obviously, big game to continue to try to keep pace to the AFC. But again, going on the road for Buffalo, which feels likely now, it's just a tough spot to be in, right? They're one back of New England. They can certainly get that done, but a tough spot to be in. Let's get to the NFC next on Jim Sharp, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Back on the GM Shuffle, let's get to the NFC, Marty, where 5 teams have already clinched. So there's one wild card spot available, and there is one division available for a clinch, which is the NFC South after the Panthers beat the Bucs. Let's start at the very top here. Seattle beats the Rams the other night, 38-37 overtime. As of right now in DraftKings, the Rams, who are the 5 seed and most likely going to go play 3 road games, are the favorite to win the Super Bowl still over the Seahawks. I know Darnold made some big throws at the end, but one of the reasons they were down 30-14 was he threw 2 terrible interceptions, Marty, and I can't get that out of my mind with Seattle. They can't run the ball. Even though they had some explosive plays, they had a punt return in this game. I mean, look, as good as the Rams defense, the Seahawks defense is, Darnold, I'm getting all over the place. Stafford threw for 450 yards. I can't even talk right now, Marty. 450 yards right now. My point essentially is I don't buy Seattle, even if they're the 1 seed. I can't get Darnold in big games out of my head. The Rams completely blew this game. If the Rams are not the 1 seed, it's their fault. They're up 26-7 to the Eagles and lost 30-14, lost, and also lost to Carolina as well. So Rams are the 5 seed at the moment. Seattle's the 1 seed, even though, again, Seattle goes to Carolina and goes to the Niners, could very well lose one of those 2 games and not end up with the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think everybody still, you look at Matt Stafford and everybody wants to lean toward the Rams being the best team in the NFC. But I tell you, Geoff, what catches my eye, and I'm just amazed, is the 49ers. I mean, there's 2 teams in the NFC that control their own fate as far as getting the number 1 seed, and that's the Seahawks and the 49ers. If either one of them wins out, of course, they both play each other. They will be the number 1 seed. And if the 49ers do that, if they win out, and they've got the Colts tonight, so they're the one team that has 3 games left. They're at Indy, and I think both you and I like them tonight against Indy. And then they got the Bears and the Seahawks at home. And the reason they have the number 1 seed in their own hands is because they do play both those teams, the Bears and Seahawks. But if they do that, Kyle Shanahan's just give him the Coach of the Year award, because they have had so many injuries, and it just he and Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, to me, have just done phenomenal jobs navigating their team through adversity, and I just it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because there really is a lot at stake here. The last 2 games to see who the number 1 seed is.
The Bears right now are the 2 seed. They're 11-4, Marty. They've won 6 games this season, trailing with under 2 minutes left.
Yes.
It feels wholly unsustainable for the way they're winning. However, they are winning. Caleb Williams with a huge throw to DJ Moore. Caleb Williams getting better by the week. Very clearly, Ben Johnson can coach. I think we're seeing, by the way, the impact of coaching on Jacksonville, New England, and Chicago, like very stark to see the difference between what they had to what they have now. And Chicago keeps doing, look, Chicago to me is a sell team in the postseason. I'm absolutely just selling them. Whoever they play, just out immediately on the Bears. It's nothing to do with how I think they're going to be next season or what they've done this season. You just, to win 6 games like that, it's better than losing 6 games like that. But they're 16th right now in DVOA. That's not great, right? They are 11th on offense, 21st on defense. They still really have issues stopping the run. They're a playoff team that worries me, but they keep winning. They go to San Francisco next week. We'll know more about them. But just, can you talk about the job Ben Johnson has done on the Bears this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's just in his confidence. And obviously, when you win close games like that, it helps you as a coach with the confidence building every week. But you can tell when he gets up in front of the room, all eyes are on him. My question to you, Geoff, is do they remind you at all? Is it similar to the Commander season last year where everything kind of went right and they had a lot of momentum with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury coaching the offense? Could they do a similar thing and get to the NFC Championship game?
So you're telling me next year I should bet on them to go under their win totals? What you're telling me is that's what I hear from you. Yes. Again, we talked about the AFC path. So right now they'd host the Packers. Okay, in wild card weekend, the Packers right now quarterback situation. Who knows? Don't have Micah Parsons. Like they could easily win that game. Then you're going to get what? Rams, probably Niners, like if there's an upset there, that's potentially going to happen. And, can you beat the Rams? Sure. I'd pick the Rams, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that it can happen. I think we'll know a lot more about them going to San Francisco on Sunday. Like that's a Sunday night game. The Niners, again, are not a team to be messed with. Even the Niners defensively aren't great right now because of the issues they have with their depth and injuries. But yeah, that's a good that parallels to me. The team in the 3 seed right now, Marty, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Commanders. Now, to be fair, when Mariota got hurt, that game completely changed. Right, that was a game that was close. They picked. I think DeGene ended up picking off Josh Johnson, who, by the way, was the MVP of my East-West Shrine game in 2008, still playing Marty in the National Football League. That game flipped completely. I know people say, well, they're the Super Bowl champions. We're sleeping on them. They're not winning 3 playoff games, Marty, to get back to Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Little trivia, Geoff. Do you know who Josh Johnson's head coach was in college?
Where did he play at?
University of San Diego.
Harbaugh. Yeah.
Yep. The only reason I know that is because my son went there afterwards.
Yeah.
But he played for Jim Harbaugh. He's been around a lot of years. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, Geoff. We talk all these teams, and who do we just get to kind of like as a by the way, the defending Super Bowl champions. And I think that the Eagles have had the Raiders, the Commanders to try to get healthy. They have the Commanders again. I think that if they can get on a roll late, you've got to say that they're one of the favorites to win. They're too talented. I think they've gone through all these hurdles during the offseason, but that's what happens. Good teams, good coaching staffs figure it out, and they've been fortunate to have a couple opponents who have been struggling to try to get their rhythm going. I think the Eagles are as dangerous as anybody in the NFC playoffs here.
The Eagles' defensive line was incredible. Davis and Carson Carter didn't play, but Davis was a man, dude. Like if they get Carter back, and which they will, like that defensive line will give anyone trouble, right? And that can keep them in a game and allow the offense to just do enough. The offense is still just, it's to me not good enough. Last year they got by, and getting by is the wrong word to use because Barkley was such a force, and we saw a little bit of that because the Commander hit 130 yards rushing. So we did see some of that come back, but the passing game is still not dynamic enough, in my opinion. They're relying very much on the top 2 guys, as they should. There's no surprise there, but that to me, it will hold them back. The 4 seed right now, Carolina Panthers, baby. One of my favorite wagers this week. They beat Tampa Bay. They are currently the 4 seed as they are the NFC South winners at the moment. Now, Carolina gets Seattle this week and then plays Tampa Bay again. So they have to beat Tampa Bay again in week 18. But not more important, but Tampa's lost now 6 of 7, Marty, which they have not playing good ball.
No.
Carolina, look, it's about consistency, right? The weeks they're good, they're really good. The weeks they're bad, they're really bad. But they're here for a reason. Bryce Young continues to get better and play good football. They have a negative 50-point differential because, again, the bad is really bad, Marty. So to me, in the postseason, do we get good or bad Panthers? That'll determine how far they can go.
Yeah, Bryce Young has proven that he can make big plays in big spots, and he's just I think he's got now 7 come from behind victories this season, and I think that ties Jake's record. And I just think that they obviously need the running game. The Bucs are playing poorly, but really, if you look at it, yesterday's game was more important to the Panthers than the Bucs, because the Bucs, I think, still own the tiebreaker between the two. If the head-to-head is split, they will hold a tiebreaker on record versus common opponents. So this week's game doesn't mean quite as much now that the Panthers won. It's still going to come down to that final game against the Bucs. As you say, that Tampa Bay just has not been playing well, Geoff, and I thought they were going to regroup and come back. I thought Bucky Irving would really help them, but they had all the chances to win that game. They did not, and the Panthers have the harder schedule, but again, it's just going to come down to week 18 in Tampa.
Yeah, so that it's interesting because week 18 you could end up with essentially. Well, it's really just 2 games now because Baltimore lost, but it's going to be Niners Seahawks for the 1 seed most likely, and then Panthers Bucs win and get in. The NFL tends to put the win and get in game on the final night of the regular season. I don't know if they're going to put the NFC South win and get in game in, though. They might go Niners Seahawks for the 1 seed, but obviously very impressive here by the Carolina Panthers. They keep grinding away. They keep making the plays they have to make. Again, the good is good, the bad is bad. Finding some consistency would be very worth it here for Carolina down the stretch. I'm curious how Carolina plays the Seattle game, because you don't often see week 17 load management, Marty, but that game is unimportant, right? That game is unimportant to them. They have to beat Tampa Bay week 18. How do you approach Seattle? Like, if you were the general manager, what would you advise the Panthers to do for the Seattle game?
Everything you can to win. You can't take your foot off the pedal right now. That's a huge mistake, I think. I think it listen, you're in a playoff hunt for the division, and every game is as important as the next. So I think you have to just keep your foot on the pedal and try to get some consistency here. The message would be, listen, we've been inconsistent all year. We're getting down to the time. It's playoff time. We have to get consistent. We have to start stringing wins together. Let's go out there and beat a team that people say is going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
It's what Tom Coughlin tried to do in 2007 with New England, and it paid off in spades for them later in the season. Plus, also, if the Bucs lose to the Dolphins this weekend, you beat Seattle, the division's over, right? Like, you've won the division. So that obviously is hugely important for Carolina here. We're gonna tie up some loose ends from this weekend of ball. We'll get to our best bets, and then we'll talk about Monday Night Football as well. We'll do the next GM Shuffle presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, we're back, Marty, for our final segment. Some loose ends to clean up here from the NFL Sunday. Then we'll get to best bets, and we'll preview Monday Night Football. So 2 things I want to get to. DK Metcalf went into the stands and grabbed a Lions fan by the collar and then sort of shoved the Lions fan away, punch, slap, shove, whatever you want to use. The Lions fan said he did not say a racial slur, which I'm not sure changes whether or not DK Metcalf should have gone into the stands. Obviously, very inappropriate and uncalled for, and that fan should be ejected for life if he did use a racial slur, Marty, in my opinion. But so many questions here. First of all, security, anyone? Security anywhere, like Steelers security staff, someone, anyone?
Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw it whatsoever. And if it comes out that there was not a racial slur said, and again, the fan says he did not say a racial slur, this is a very hefty suspension. You cannot go into the crowd and make contact with anyone in the crowd. You cannot go in the crowd and make violence, maybe the wrong word, but violent contact with a fan in the crowd. I do wonder if he is suspended for 2 games or longer, Marty, because I don't think this is a precedent you can have for the NFL. And obviously DK not being in the lineup for the Steelers as they're trying to finish out their quest to be division champion, which is made much easier because Baltimore lost last night. I think he's out for the next 2 weeks.
At least one. I will say this, because the officials didn't see it, because the only people saw it was on camera. And if the officials would have seen it, they would have thrown him out of the game. They would have ejected him at that point. And I think the suspension or fine, anything that took place, would be a little bit linear moving forward, because he had already been punished for some of that game. It wasn't, and I think the NFL will definitely look to make a statement here. I'm with you, Geoff. This is something that is just unacceptable in the NFL. They're not going to let it happen. You could tell DK Metcalf when they came back, a couple minutes after he had done it, he knew he had messed up, but you just can't do something like that. And the Steelers still need to win games. So if they're, but I don't know where they'll do too, but I do think there'll probably be a suspension something.
So look, I'll just tweet from Tom Pelissaro. A source close to DK says the fan who identified himself to the Detroit Free Press as Ryan Kennedy called Metcalf's mom a derogatory word, and then called Metcalf, quote, something we both know you don't call a black man, end quote. The fan claims Metcalf was upset about being called his full legal name. While I understand the anger if that word was used to Metcalf, I still think we have to avoid going in the crowd, right? Like, I understand, totally understand the anger that would bring to DK. I get it, but like that has to be something we control, right? We can't go in the crowd and go ahead and start, violently getting after fans. Quickly here before we run a football preview, the Chiefs dead in the water. I called that game. I bet on the Broncos already. It'd be a best bet in a few minutes. Gardner Minshew tears his ACL. Presumably that's the report right now. The Chiefs are not going to win a game. They play the Broncos and the Raiders. I don't think they're going to beat the Raiders. My takeaway from what happened this past weekend was how much of the stink Patrick Mahomes cleaned up for Kansas City. I mean, they lost 26-9 to the Tennessee Titans, man. Like the defense did nothing either in this game. So any grand takeaways from the Chiefs losing? Obviously, this is a dynasty put on hold, or maybe for right now has completely vanished.
Well, I think it's needs a restart, but I mean, I just think that I think we forget how hard it is to accomplish what the Chiefs have accomplished, and I think timing. It's hard to say that it was just Patrick Mahomes not being there that led to that. I mean, they're out of the playoffs, and they've had a season that they've just fought change and injuries the whole time. I don't know. You saw it coming. I mean, you had it right on the money, and I think it was just timing, and this a game of confidence and momentum, and it was just hard to have confidence or momentum going into that game after being kicked out, and then especially after Gardner Minshew got hurt.
Yeah, the Broncos are going to do them dirty this on Christmas. We'll talk about that game on our Tuesday episode. If you're listening to this on a different day, go find that episode earlier this week because of the holidays. By the way, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all those things to those who celebrate the holidays this time of year. Monday Night Football, Marty, Niners on the road to face the Colts. Niners here by 5.5, total 45.5. Quite simply in this game, is the Niners defense going to disrupt Phillip Rivers without a pass rush, right? Like, can they get after him? How they sim pressure him? I think Robert Saleh will have a great plan for Phillip Rivers. I think what we saw from Rivers last week is the best we're going to get from Phillip Rivers. He's 44. He's not going to feel better after that game. How many times can they hit him? I think the Niners are going to run the ball well. I think they'll score on offense. I just don't buy the Phillip Rivers thing, as you know, Marty. So I am on the Niners tonight. Not an official bet. If you're asking me, I'll take the Niners to cover the game. Maybe you tease the Niners in a total or something. You got the Niners to a teaser for next week. But I like the Niners here to cover this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that maybe the 49ers playing defensively would be to shut down Jonathan Taylor. If you contain Jonathan Taylor, and then let's see if Phillip Rivers can come beat us. He's not going to throw the ball downfield. So keep everything in front of you. If you can contain Jonathan Taylor, you should be in good shape tonight.
Yeah, I was surprised that Seattle sort of didn't pick up on the underneath throws for a while. Like they let they ran 2 Texas routes where the running back runs out and then angles back.
Yep.
Like they let and the touchdown was a short drag route. I don't even know what you would call me. So you just sit in a zone, pick a fence zone, and just say Phillip Rivers, you're not beating us down the field. He made the one nice throw, I think it was to Pittman or Pierce, and that second to last drive. So he can do it, but the ball's just a little bit slower out of his hand. The anticipation's there. It's just not as crisp, obviously, as we know, because he's of older age now and can't make those throws quite the same as he used to. So that's, I mean, the Niners handle business tonight. Obviously, it makes the Niners schedule a lot more fun next week when they have the Bears at home and then obviously Seattle. I can tell you right now, Marty, the Niners win today and they win against against the Bears. I will put a good amount of US dollars on the Niners to beat the Seattle Seahawks in week 18. I will gladly, I'll gladly do that. I just don't trust Seattle, really don't trust Sam Darnold on the road in that situation. All right, let's get to our best bets presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Marty, you have a few, and then I have a couple, and we'll kind of go over some of these odds here as we go through. What do you like?
Yeah, well, to start, since we're on the 49ers, is they're plus 370 to win the division. But Geoff, if they win the division, they probably win the NFC. They're 425 to get the number 1 seed, plus 425. And even though it's a long shot, I mean, that the only 2 teams that had the conference number 1 seed in their own control is the Seahawks and the 49ers. Obviously, they play each other. So I like that a little bit. As far as the games for this week, I like the Chargers, giving -1.5 to the Texans. I just think that, listen, the Texans defense is terrific. I do think that C.J. Stroud is playing better, but this Chargers team has really got a mental toughness installed in them from Jim Harbaugh that it is really gets better and better each week. They have fought through adversity. They have one of the top quarterbacks in the league. They have one of the top offensive coordinators in the league, and they have a balanced offense. Their defense is playing terrific. I just think they take care of business against the Texans at home. And then I've been going back and forth on this team all year, but I like Green Bay giving -2.5 to Baltimore. I think that coming off that game last night, it's just going to be really hard to get back up and play the last 2 games as far as emotionally goes. I loved Malik Willis the other night, Geoff. I tell you, he came in and listen, Malik Willis was a big deal coming out. I mean, I was at his pro day at Liberty. The place was jammed. People were he had a great workout. People were screaming. He's always had all the physical tools. He just needed experience as far as getting back in the pocket, going through his reads, seeing guys, and he has gotten so much better at that right now. I thought he played terrific the other night. Obviously, he can make plays with his legs, but I just think that, I don't know whether there's a lot of fall off if Jordan Love doesn't play. So I really like them as well. So I like the Chargers giving -1.5 and Green Bay -2.5.
What I really like about the Packers when Willis comes in is how they have a plan ready. But they transition to the other offense very quickly. And that's a credit to everyone involved, because that means you're taking away reps from other things in the practice week to get ready for if Malik Willis has to play. And it saves them bacon a lot of times, right? Look, they feel the onside kick, the game's over, and right, they're back in it. It's just unfortunate how that ended up happening. But Malik Willis is able to make enough plays for them. It's very impressive. By the way, so if you think Chargers win this week, then they get the Broncos. You can still take them to win the division right now at plus 240, which would be better than I think parlaying them the next couple of weeks. So worth mentioning here. My best bet is Denver -12.5 at Kansas City. Are the Chiefs going to score? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, the Broncos win the game 14-0, Marty, for all we know. I'm going to keep fading the Chiefs until, I mean, it's a Christmas night game. You're going to have what? The least amount of Chiefs fans you've had in a game since 2012, probably, in that place. You're dead. Kelsey unders. I'd take any Kelsey under I can find. It's so funny watching Kelsey play a different quarterback. First time ever, really. Like, he gets into that zone where he's supposed to be, and he sort of moves in the direction where he knows Mahomes is going to throw him the ball, and Minshew just didn't do it. Just didn't, like, he didn't, like, it's crazy because there was a route he ran. He kind of curled up between two defenders, and he started to move away from the defenders because he caught the ball like he run up the field. Most guys don't do that, right? They sit in the zone, present themselves, and the ball was short because Kelsey started to move a little bit sort of like away because he knew the ball that's what Mahomes would have done for him. All right, enough of that. Stay tuned for our next episode. It's going to be Tuesday, guys. Talk to you in a couple of days. Take care, everybody.